Such is the norm here. Can't you pay? That's a problem. It's just so typical of country folks to be miserly.
He dismisses my complaints by blaming irrelevant things like my hometown being in a country. I don't understand his disdain for country people. But despite my request to investigate the abnormal electricity charges, the landlord refuses to address it. With that comment, something inside me exploded, and I began to plot my revenge. It feels like I already have solid evidence, but merely suing him won't satisfy me. I've been tormented too long. He must experience the same hardships I went through. So that's your answer. Well, I have plans too. Oh, and I'm going on a family vacation soon. Yes, I'm looking forward to it. The landlord gave me a puzzled look.
I don't understand what you're saying. Feel free to contact me anytime, though I can't guarantee I'll respond.
The landlord gave a parting shot and left. And so, I decided to proceed with my plan. It was the day to go on a family vacation abroad. With such exorbitant electric bills, one can hardly relax and enjoy the trip. I emptied the fridge out before we left, and placed ice packs in a cooler for the condiments. Yes, the reason was to turn the breaker off. Despite having promoted, I was forced to economize due to high electricity bills. The daily life I had envisioned was far from reality. I turned off the breaker to save on the skyrocketing electricity costs. I also made sure to lock all the windows and doors for security. Yes, everything seemed perfectly normal. With that, I headed on an overseas vacation with my family, feeling lighthearted. The next day, while enjoying Hawaii, I noticed a missed call on my device. I checked my cell and saw there was a voicemail. Seeing who it was from, I couldn't help grinning. When I played the recording, it was the landlord's voice.
Please come back immediately.
I am Michael Dawson, a 38-year-old office worker. After graduating from college and working for a few years, I married my girlfriend Mary when I was 28. Soon after, my wife gave birth and our son joined the family. Becoming a family of 3, I realized we would need more money, so I decided to switch from a job in a countryside to a major corporation in town. After several interviews, I successfully got hired. My wife and I were thrilled that I could now earn more than before, but that joy didn't last long. One day, after we had moved into a rented house close to my new work, a visitor came to our house. I happened to be home using up some paid leave, so I answered the doorbell. When I opened the door, there stood the landlord. Hello, Mr. Landlord, is there anything you need?
Is it you, sir? Where is Mary today?
My wife has gone shopping. What brings you by? The landlord sighed deeply and continued.
Your wife is in trouble. Today is bulk garbage day. The workers were having a hard time because someone put out food waste. It really smells bad. Please be careful next time.
This landlord is Tyler Smith. A man in his 50s, he lets out the house his parents used to live in. His parents had already passed away, and he was living in the house next door. Although he was very polite and humble before we signed the contract, recently I've noticed he's become quite rough around the edges. Today is Monday, right? Isn't food waste collected on Mondays?
That was the old schedule. It was posted on the bulletin board.
I'm sorry. Mr. Landlord, my wife, Mary, also asked. But could you please notify us if the garbage collection days change? It's really hard to keep up without any notice.
Do you really think that excuse would work? This is why country folks don't understand city rules.
Well, if Mary has asked, I suppose it can't be helped. The landlord left with a crude smile. I don't know what happened in his past, but maybe he had some bad experiences in the countryside. However, this landlord is not well spoken of. He's famous for being a womanizer and causing trouble in the area. I felt a change in his demeanor the moment I mentioned my wife's name. I hope my bad feeling doesn't become a reality. But, unfortunately, my intuition was correct.
Honey, can we talk?
After dinner, my wife approached me with a serious look on her face. At first, I wondered if I had done something to offend her, but then my wife, Mary, confided in me about her troubles.
The landlord's behavior is creepy, and I'd prefer to avoid him if possible.
At that moment, I recalled the landlord being freaky. I thought I should ask for more details. Did he do something to you?
Not exactly he did anything, but whenever I take out the garbage or leave the house, I almost always run into him.
And that's not all. And that's not all.
He casually touches people's shoulders and asks about our evening activities with this creepy gaze. I just can't stand it anymore.
My wife was trembling with fear. I couldn't allow someone to instill such fear in her. I had no idea you were going through such terrible experiences. I'm going to speak to him right now. I was fed up with the landlord's inappropriate behavior and decided to confront him, but my wife stopped me.
Please, wait, if we stir up trouble now, we might get kicked out.
I don't care about that. If it happens, we'll just find another place.
We're already overwhelmed with work. We don't have the capacity to handle that right now, do we? Living here was only meant to be temporary until we move to our new home. I'll keep on looking for a place.
But, that means you might continue to suffer. Trying not to worry me. My wife smiled despite her own distress.
It's definitely tough. But for our family, I'll try to endure a little longer. If it doesn't work out, I promise I'll tell you.
Moved by my wise wife's words, I couldn't argue and suppressed my anger for the rest of the day. However, the troubling situations continued to unfold. It had been a month since we moved into this house. I couldn't believe the electric bill when I saw it. $1,000. I was shocked by the high charge. Despite inflation driving up prices, it was absurd that just moving into this house could cause such an increase. $1,000 is too much for a family of 3. It seemed impossible for our bill to reach such an amount. Suspecting an error, I decided to call the electric company to investigate. And one possibility they considered was a leakage. If there's damage to the wiring, it can cause a leak and consume electricity. Alarmingly, this could also lead to a fire. Thinking it was serious, I decided to call an electrician to inspect it. Normally, I would talk to the landlord first, but I didn't want him in my house. When the electrician was checking the panel and we shut off all the electricity to inspect, something happened. As he inspected, the electrician explained.
It doesn't seem to be any leakage.
Is that so?
Yes, right now, all the electricity in the house is cut off. If there were a leak, this meter would react. It's not moving, is it?
No, it's not moving. Even I, who know little about electricity, could see that at a glance. The needle on what seemed to be the inspection meter didn't show any signs of movement. But just as I was pondering whether the local electric rates were unusually high, a visitor arrived. I asked the technician to check if there were any other abnormalities, and went to greet the visitor. There stood the detestable landlord.
Excuse me, Mr. Dawson.
Mr. Landlord, what brings you here?
Well, there's been a power outage around here, and I got worried, so I came to check.
You see, there's also an unfamiliar service vehicle. Power outage. But looking around, there's no sign of panic or noise from any of the houses. Why would the landlord alone notice a power outage and come to check out the house he let out? The landlord was making no sense. Just then, I heard the electrician behind me saying that he had completed the inspection. I had questions for the landlord, so I paused our conversation and turned to the electrician. I then asked the electrician something that had been bothering me. Is it possible for my breaker to cut off electricity to the neighboring house too?
Absolutely not.
That's impossible. Unless electricity is being stolen, but our inspection confirmed that no electricity was flowing when it was shut off. Is that so?
However, I was surprised by the size of your electrical panel. It's unusually large for a house this size.
What? The technician started explaining something strange.
That size is typical for a commercial establishment. Was there a building here before? It might be a good idea to call the utility company again. The unusual electricity bills might be because it's set for commercial use, not residential, which could be adding a lot to the base rate.
I received no such explanation when I rented the place. I recalled the landlord saying there was no need to check the electricity because it was already set up before we signed the lease. The electrician flipped the breaker back on and finished up. I thanked him and saw him out. At that moment, I pondered. The abnormal electricity bills. The unnaturally large electrical panel. The landlord's timely appearances whenever the breaker was tripped. And no signs of leakage. Why were all these mysterious things happening? I decided to confront the landlord, who was still waiting outside. A suspicion was turning into a conviction. Depending on his response, I wouldn't let it slide. I had been feeling irritated by his recent dishonest behavior. I believe the power outage should be fixed now.
Oh, that's good. Now you can relax.
Can I ask you something?
What do you want? I'm busy, because there's a show I want to watch soon.
Why does your house also lose power when I turn off the breaker in my house?
What are you talking about? I have no idea.
The landlord tried to play dumb. His overtly evasive attitude was infuriating.
I'm leaving now.
Mr. Landlord, please look at this electric bill. Don't you think it's strange? It's $1,000, this is clearly abnormal, please investigate this. Yes, I demanded an investigation, but the landlord wasn't so accommodating. Instead, his next comment made me angry.
That's just how it is here. Can't you pay? That's problematic. This is why I can't stand country folks, they're so miserly.
He dismissed my complaints by attributing them to irrelevant things like being from the countryside. I don't understand his disdain for country people. But despite my request to investigate the abnormal electricity charges, he refuses to comply. At that, something inside me exploded, and I began to plot my revenge. It felt like I already had enough evidence, but merely suing him wouldn't be satisfying. I had been suffering for too long. He would not be satisfied unless the landlord experienced the same. So that's your answer? Well, I have my own plans too. Yes, I'm actually looking forward to our family vacation coming up. At that, the landlord gave me a puzzled look.
I don't understand what you're saying. Call me any time if something comes up, though I'm not sure I'll respond.
The landlord gave a parting shot and left. And so, I decided to go ahead with my plan. That day was the day we were going on a trip abroad with the family. With such outrageously high electric bills, we can hardly relax and travel in peace. I emptied the fridge out before our departure, and placed ice packs in a cooler for the condiments. The reason was, yes, to turn the breaker off. Despite having promoted, here I was, troubled by electric bills and forced to economize. The daily life I had envisioned was far from reality. To save on the skyrocketing electricity costs, I turned off the breaker. I also made sure to lock all the windows and doors for security. Yes, nothing seemed out of place. With a light heart, I headed off on an overseas vacation with my family. The next day, we were thoroughly enjoying Hawaii. When I happened to check my phone and saw a missed call, I checked the voicemail. And couldn't help but grin when I saw who it was from. When I played the recording, it was the landlord's voice.
Please come back immediately.
Oh, what's the matter, Mr. Landlord?
Well, it seems there have been several cases of electrical leakage found in the area. And the fire department wants to inspect it immediately.
Such absurdity couldn't be allowed. Yes, the landlord's and my rented house were somehow connected by wiring. The house I rented used to be where the landlord's parents lived. It's possible that the landlord's parents built his house to let him live alone. At that time, they might have shared the electrical wiring and the parents could have been paying the electric bills. Such a morally corrupt character he was. He probably never had a proper job. It might have been his parents' way of showing love, worrying about his future, but exploiting that is inexcusable. Indeed, the fact that the landlord hastily called me after I turned off the breaker. If there were a local power outage, it wouldn't make sense for him to call just me. The fact that he did call just me is the most damning evidence. Since moving into this house, it's been nothing but trouble, but the one stroke of luck was that the electrical panel was in my house, not his. Effectively, I had control over the electricity. And the landlord likely never thought I would realize how system was set up, not anticipating something like this. He probably never expected the tenant next door would turn off the breaker before going on a trip.
When will you be able to return?
Perhaps realizing his usual excuses wouldn't work, the landlord was insisting us to come back. But there's no way I'd accept such request. In fact, it's not even possible right now. I'm driving the landlord to the brink of despair. It's not possible, I'm on a long vacation and won't be back for a week.
No way.
The trip had been booked well in advance and wasn't intended for revenge. However, his last remark had infuriated me, and that's when the idea struck me. I decided to use my supposed ignorance as a tool for revenge. I'll deal with it as soon as the vacation is over. I have some questions of my own, too.
Then you should just come back now.
That's impossible. It's too late to cancel now. The issue I want to discuss involves the suspicious electric bills I've been concerned about for a while, so I'll talk to you later. I mercilessly ended the call. The landlord called again later, but I pretended not to notice. I wondered how he was managing in this blistering summer heat. As soon as I returned from the trip, the landlord came over.
Mr. Dawson, you've caused me a lot of trouble. I'm going to sue you for damages.
What happened, Mr. Landlord? I came back just as you asked. What happened?
Because of you, I had to unexpectedly stay in a business hotel. What are you going to do about this?
Despite his fury, I couldn't help but laugh inwardly at his predicament. Sigh, how is that related? Please tell me. I was just on a family vacation, so you stayed in a hotel. What's the problem?
That's because you didn't respond to the fire department immediately. So they scolded me instead. That's why I was so down, and stayed in a hotel.
I nearly burst out laughing at his pathetic excuse. No, that doesn't make sense. Plus, the fire department was here. Right, and it was because of a potential electrical leakage in this area. I asked the neighbors today. And it seems there was no such inspection.
I don't think so.
That's strange, that doesn't add up. Please introduce me to the firefighter who scolded you.
How can I do that?
Why would he think this explanation would make sense? He must have thought he could muddle through with vague excuses. Such an immature reasoning leaves me no choice but to sigh. And now, I decided to push further. Well, then you can't claim, now, my issue, Mr. Landlord, our houses are connected, aren't they?
What nonsense are you talking about?
Even worse, I heard that the power supply of this house is billed as commercial, which isn't right. There was no mention of this when I signed the contract.
Well, I'm not obligated to explain that.
That's not right. Our electric bills are combined. That's not normal. We're not getting anywhere. Let's go to the police.
No, I don't want to do that.
The landlord was throwing a tantrum. Since I couldn't physically force him, I called the police to come. I provided all the information and had them verify that shutting off the breaker in my house also cut off power to the landlord's house. After confirming this, the police took the landlord in for questioning. The next day, I decided to sue the landlord for illegally using the electricity. I planned to settle this in court. A lawyer, knowledgeable in construction, mentioned it was a very unusual case.
The parents who lived in that house were home-based accountants. That's why the electricity was not reassigned from commercial use, causing unusually high charges.
Does this happen often?
Not at all. Such cases rarely happen. Apparently, there was a wall between the house you are renting and the landlord's house, built during a renovation. Originally, there was no boundaries. It was all one property.
I was never informed of that.
Normally, you'd explain this and split the electric bills. The fact that this wasn't done suggests the property management just threw everything onto the estate agent and failed to fulfill their responsibilities.
Even the lawyer was surprised by such sloppy management. Following this issue, I heard that the estate agent determined to conduct an inspection. I will definitely not deal with that agent anymore. This was only meant to be a temporary solution until our new house was ready. But after such a terrible experience, I want to ensure there are no problems in our next home. Later, with my wife's help, we found a great piece of land and decided to build our new home there. Currently, we are living in an apartment introduced by my company. I wish I had started this way from the beginning. It's a relief that the company is covering half the cost. My wife no longer has to endure harassment from the landlord, and I am even happier than she is. The thought of someone I love being hurt by our neighbors is unbearable. Our son is happy too since he didn't have to change schools after moving. Finally, we can prepare for our new life. Despite being caught up in unpleasant trouble, if it was all for the sake of today, I can endure it. Now, I am just looking forward to our new home being completed and dreaming of our life there.